Okay, so Stephen has informed me that we're live streaming. So in about a minute, whenever you're ready to start, and I know we had one committee member who just their video. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so from our end, whenever it's the appropriate time, you guys are good to go.
1 minute. Okay, I've got 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Milton Committee of Adjustment and Consent. It is now 6 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. My name is Mark Klug and I'm the chair of the committee. The 5 members of this committee are citizens of the Town of Milton and are appointed by Town Council for a 4-year term. We are appointed to act upon matters respecting the Committee of Adjustment and Consent in accordance with sections 44 and 45 of the Planning Act. The other committee members are Eric Chandler, Jeff Robinson, Tyler Slatt, and Michael Summers. Tyler is not with us this evening, he is absent. Town planning staff are Debbie Johnson, Secretary Treasurer, Natalie Stopar, Planner, and Angela Jansen, Planner. Later on today's agenda, we have statutory public meetings under the Planning Act scheduled for 83 John Street, 379 Bessborough Drive, 378 Malboeuf Court, and 86 Martin Street. During the course of the live meeting, those members of the public who want to make a request to speak to this public hearing item only via the phone, dial into a dedicated phone number at 1-866-511-0021 or can email the town at townclerk@milton.ca, and you will be given step-by-step instructions on how to enter and participate in the meeting via phone only. Staff will work to assist each of the callers for this public meeting and will start and end each of the calls in order that they are received. These instructions will be provided again at point in the agenda that we will be holding the public hearing. So we're going now to disclosures of pecuniary interest. Does any committee member have a pecuniary conflict of interest with respect to any of the applications on tonight's agenda? If so, please declare now by raising your hand. Seeing none. So, requests for deferral or withdrawals. The Secretary Treasurer has confirmed with each applicant prior to the hearing that they wish their application to be heard this evening. The applicant for file A2-20/009/M7480 Dairy Road requested a deferral due to changes required through the site plan application process. Town planning staff approved the deferral. Any resident watching, please be advised that this application has now been deferred to the November hearing date, and revised public notices will be sent out at a later date. So, some housekeeping items. Tonight's meeting is set in the agenda. Only those matters before the committee will be discussed. The meeting is not the appropriate forum to discuss property standards issues, property taxes, or any other general complaints to the town. Please contact the town during normal business hours to discuss these and any other matters. All written correspondence provided to the Secretary Treasurer has been issued to the members and is now part of the public record and are hereby read into evidence. In order for the committee to approve an application, the majority of the members present must satisfy themselves that the application satisfies the applicable requirements of the Planning Act. Excuse me. If there is a tie vote, the application is denied. Applicants or their agent will automatically receive a copy of the committee's decision. If anyone else would like a copy of the decision, please contact the committee secretary. All decisions are subject to a 20-day appeal period, during which time any decision could be appealed by anyone to the local planning appeal tribunal. If you wish to appeal a decision, please contact the committee secretary. Moving now to minutes of our last meeting, which was way back in February. So, with respect to the minutes of our meeting dated February 20th, 2020, are there any changes? Mr. Chandler, Mr. Summers, thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I would make a motion that the meeting minutes be approved.
Okay, and seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion from the members? All in favor? So, yeah, yep, sorry, we're all in favor.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so the minutes have been approved. So I'm going to turn it now over to Debbie, who will get us started with the public hearing portion of the agenda.
Okay, this is the public hearing portion of the agenda. This public hearing is for application file A2-20/006/M for 83 John Street here in Milton. We are now going to share a screen with a dedicated phone number and email address now to the members of the public who want to make a request to speak to this application. For anyone wanting to connect, you will be given step-by-step instructions on how to enter and participate in the meeting via telephone only. We will now take a 5-minute recess to allow members of the public to connect and to give our staff time to assist.
Sorry, if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen in a second.
Okay.
Actually, sorry, Stephen, just if you can change one function, it's only allowing the host to share the screen. Are you able to change that? Oh,
You should have host functionality now.
okay. Okay, there we go.
Nina, I believe you're muted if you're talking right now.
No, I am all good. Okay, so since we have not received any phone calls or emails, I will stop sharing my screen now and end this portion.
So we can continue, Debbie? Okay. So the first application is for 83 John Street. I call upon the applicant or the representative to speak to the application, please. And if you could state your name and home address or business address if you're acting as the agent.
Okay, so I'm just going to promote Mr. Curtis over.
okay.
He is the agent, and I also do have the applicant in the background. She had identified Dana that she was not going to speak, so if that changes, we can promote her over.
Okay.
But Mr. Curtis should have made his way over soon, and you'll just need to unmute and turn on your video, Mr. Curtis, whenever you're ready. Hi there. Can we do 1,
Hey
2,
guys,
3?
how are you?
Hi, we can hear you. Go ahead, Mark.
So, hello, Mr. Curtis. If you could state your name and home address or business address if you're acting as the agent, and if you could tell the committee what variances you're applying for, an explanation and purpose and reasons for the application, and why you feel it's minor in nature.
Right, so good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Curtis Van Keulen. I'm from Hughes Design Studio, 1A Conestoga Drive, Unit 300, Brampton, Ontario, L6Z4N5. And of course, I'm here to speak on behalf of the owners of 83 John Street. Basically, I'll get right into it. The owners of the property approached me back in 2019 to design their family home. We had about a month or two of consultation prior to speaking to the town, and they wished to build this home for themselves and their 4 children. So obviously the home they wished to have was a bit larger. So we approached the town, and specifically we spoke to Natalie and Hugo, and we spoke to them with regards to what we wanted to originally do, and that was not in fitting with the area. So we went back and we revised our submissions so that we could fit more within the area and try to fit the character, specifically speaking to the garage and pushing the garage back and a number of different things to, in fact, the street view of the project. So we did a number of different designs back and forth, and we landed on one that we felt that was rather nice and appealing, fit within the character of the area. And, you know, overall, with regards to the variance, we're looking for a 4% increase of what's allowed. We feel that's minor in nature, and we definitely feel that it fits within the character area. Overall, the house was specifically designed to meet a number of factors that Hugo and I worked on together. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, so you'll stay on with us. Does any member have any questions of town staff or the applicant? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, we'll go with Mr. Chandler first. You have to unmute. Mr. Chandler, you have to unmute. There you go.
Thank you. Just one question. I wondered if the town had received any comments from any neighbors with respect to the application.
I'll ask Natalie to answer that, I think.
Yeah.
So through you, Mr. Chair, within the public consultation section of my report, I do mention that we did receive some public comments. We received 2 public comments. Both had concerns over the size of the homes that were being constructed within the character area. One resident also had some questions about the plans that were submitted with the notice, and she had some difficulties reading them. So we provided her with a PDF copy, and she advised town staff after she received that copy that she had no other comments or concerns. But since submitting the revised notice of this current meeting, we haven't received any additional comments from members of the public.
We did receive We did receive addresses and names from area residents that the applicant had spoken to, that they were fine with the scheme that they were presenting.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Debbie. Yeah, there were 2 letters provided by the applicant from adjacent landowners saying they had no objection.
And that was with your planning report that you received last week.
Mr. Summers, you wanted to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions. First of all, this is a very regular site. It's a perfect rectangle. I presume that there was a site.
You're going to have to repeat that.
Mr. Summers, you seem to be cutting out a little bit. Probably your internet connection right now. Do you think you could repeat that? We seem to have lost you. Hi there. Oh, we see you moving again. Mr. Summers, we weren't able to hear any of that. We lost you for a second there. Could you repeat all of that?
Okay, yes, certainly. Are you hearing me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sure that you did a site analysis at the beginning of this project and went through the bylaws, and yet you've come forward with a design that does not meet the current bylaw. What is the reason? What was the hardship on the site, or what was the site condition that had to be overcome?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the main reason for the size of the development is, again, to accommodate the family that is going to live in the home. The size of the home is direct result of the size of the family. And we did our very best to do what we could to fit everything inside that footprint and that coverage. We even put a lot of space, or a lot of livable space, over top of the garage as well. The garage that was extremely set back from the face of the house, so it was a bit tricky to get the living space to go back there. So the adjoining space, if you refer to the second floor plan, that allows you to come through to that to access the space over the garage, that adjoining space is partially outside of the ground floor footprint. So we actually have to walk outside of the ground floor footprint to access a lot of the space over top of the garage. So in order to push the garage back, accommodate parking beside the house, and try to have all the bedrooms on the second floor and access everything, we needed to go out the back and then over the garage. And most of the coverage that we're requesting is the rear covered porch, which holds the, I guess you can call it the ensuite and hallway into the master bedroom. So that was one thing that we're trying to squish inside everything. We just couldn't fit everything. So that's why we're here in front of you with a design that we work really hard to fit within the character area.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think that's necessarily a reason. The answer you've given me adds up to we just wanted to build a bigger house.
Do you have any other questions, Mr. Summers?
No, I'm through. Thank you.
I have one question. I sound like a broken record, but to Natalie, the covered patio, because it's covered, it's counted as square footage. Am I correct?
So to you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. It also has the second story, or a portion of the second story extends over that rear covered porch.
Right.
So it is included as part of the lot coverage. They have a small front porch as well that's not covered by the second story, and that's also included within the lot.
That's also included. So both porches are both covered porches. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Is there any other questions from any other member? I just want to confirm that there's no public here for this application. Is that correct, Nina and Debbie?
That is correct. We did not receive any public comments.
Okay, so then I'm going to close the public session. And hopefully I'm doing this correctly. So I've closed the public session and we're going to move into motions now. Is there any member prepared to make a motion? Please raise your hand. Mr. Robinson, go ahead. Oh, you've moved it. Sorry, you've moved it. Do we have to read it? Sorry, I don't have everything here. Do we have to read something, Debbie?
Yes, Jeff should read the motion that he wants to put forward.
And then we'll ask for a seconder and then we'll vote. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, it's been a couple of months.
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move that application A2-20-006M at 83 John Street be approved with the following conditions. One, that the approval be subject to an expiry of 2 years from the date of decision if the conditions are not met, if the proposed development does not proceed, and/or a building permit, if applicable, is not received. Two, that the attached site plan form part of this decision as Schedule A, and that the single detached dwelling be substantially constructed in accordance with the Schedule A site plan. Three, that the applicant provide confirmation from the Town of Milton Development Coordinator, Finance, that all municipal property taxes have been paid.
Do I have a seconder? Mr. Chandler, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion, gentlemen? Seeing none, I have to call a recorded vote. So as I call out your name, please respond with in favor or opposed to the motion. So Mr. Chandler,
In favor.
Mr. Robinson,
In favor.
Mr. Summers, Mr. Summers, you're muted.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, opposed, sorry.
Opposed, okay. And myself, Mr. Klug, I vote in favor. Secretary Treasurer will now record the vote.
Thank you. Recorded.
Oh, okay. So it was, got me off guard, sorry. So the motion carries. The variances have been approved with conditions. There's a 20-day appeal period. If no appeal, then the applicant has approval to proceed, subject to the conditions imposed by the committee. I don't know where he went, but hopefully he's hearing me. Thank you. So we're going to move to the next application now. Sorry, I have to go back in my script. So the next application, no, that goes to you, Debbie, right? Sorry, my bad.
Okay, so the next application from the agenda is the public hearing for application file A2-20-007-M for 379 Bessborough Drive. We are now going to share a screen with a dedicated phone number and email address now to members of the public who want to make a request to speak to this application. For anyone wanting to connect, you will be given step-by-step instructions on how to enter and participate in the meeting via phone only. We will now take a 5-minute recess to allow members of the public to connect and to give our staff time to assist. You can post the telephone number, please.
Okay, so we have not received any comments or inquiries from the public, so I will stop sharing the screen now.
So the application is for 379 Bessborough Drive. I call upon the applicant or the representatives to speak to the application, please.
Okay, and just give me a second. I'm going to promote the owners over. Just 1 second. So Mr. Saeed Hussein, he'll be making his way over shortly.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Good evening, sirs. If you could state your name and home address or business address if you're acting as the agent.
Yep. So the address is 379 Bessborough Drive, Milton, Ontario, L9T 8P7.
And your name is, sir?
My name is Saeed Hussein. That's my dad. He's
Atif.
also Atif or Saeed Hussein, depending on who's
Fair
asking.
enough. Okay. If you could tell the committee what variances you are applying for, an explanation of the purpose and reasons for the application, and why you feel it's minor in nature.
Thank you, Chairman, Secretary, and committee members. So we've submitted an application for a minor variance of 0.27 meters, which, if my math is correct, is about 10.5 inches, 10.6 inches. So we've proposed to have an apartment unit for the basement at our home, which was already built by the builder that when we purchased it. So it's completed. So we needed like an actual entrance to get to it from the outside. So because there's a minor variance of that 0.27 meters to fit, I believe it's 2 legal parking spaces for residential allowance. We need that minor variance. And the reason for the actual unit would be when we initially bought the house, the plan was when my parents, now they're going into their, I guess, senior citizenship, if you want to call it that. For myself to move into the basement because I'm at that age now where I'm working and whatnot, but stay within close proximity to look after them as well as best as I can. So that's the main thing. In the event that I do get married or move on with life, they can use that unit as something that they can rely on for future income. For rental support if I'm not able to assist in any matter. But initially the plan is for myself to stay there, generate income for them from a rental aspect. I would obviously give them rent, but I would live in the basement. And that's, I hope I've answered all the questions. If there's anything I may have missed.
Okay, thank you. Does any member have any questions of town staff or the applicant? If so, please raise your hand. I just have one. Oh, Mr. Summers, go ahead.
I just want to be clear on why this decrease in the parking width is being asked for. Is the intent to park 3 vehicles in front of the house?
Yes, so in the event that if we do get approval, it would be 2 car spaces in the driveway. It's already a double car garage. I wasn't like it's a full like double car garage. So it already fits 2 like technically, but I guess legally that's an issue. I'm not sure of it.
Fair enough. No, don't apologize. I'm going to ask the planner to comment on that because I think you're on the right vein, Mr. Hussein. I just want her to comment on that, please. Natalie, I think that's yours, right? Yes.
Yes. So through you, Mr. Chair, so that's correct. So when the house was constructed, although it appears to be a 2-car garage with a 2-car driveway, it actually doesn't meet our requirements in the zoning bylaw for a 2-car garage and 2-car driveway. Technically, under the current zoning bylaw, they would only have 1 legal parking space in the garage and 1 on the driveway. The variance today would just allow them to be able to count 2 legal parking spaces on their driveway. And as part of their application, they had provided pictures showing that they can comfortably park those 2 vehicles already on the driveway without having to widen it or make any modifications.
Thank you.
So,
Mr. Summers?
So just to be clear, 1 car is going in the garage and 2 on the driveway.
Sorry, no cars in the garage, just on the driveway itself.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the if this variance was approved under the zoning bylaw, we would count 1 parking spot in the garage and 2 on the driveway.
So yeah, I wasn't aware of the technicalities, but yeah, there's a space for 2 cars in the garage technically, right? But legally, yeah, we can definitely fit 1 car in the garage and 1 in the driveway. Yeah.
Mhm. The reason I ask is that there's a fire hydrant in front of your house as well.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put 3 cars wide side by side, you're going to end up with, if you increase the asphalt to widen the driveway, you're going to be very close to that. So the intent is not to add any asphalt.
No, so there's no intent to add any asphalt. And if you, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the pictures.
Mhm.
The pictures do show that there's quite a, I would say at least 6 foot to 8 foot distance. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, of the driveway and the asphalt. So there is no intent to increase the asphalt.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions of the agent or the or town staff from any other committee member? Seeing none, there is no public waiting for this application, correct?
That is
So,
correct.
All right, public session is now closed. Is any member prepared to make a motion? Please raise your hand. Mr. Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the application be approved. The following conditions. First, that the approval be subject to an expiry of 2 years from the date of decision if the conditions are not met, if the proposed development does not proceed, and/or a building permit is not received, if that's applicable. 2, that the applicant provide confirmation from the Town of Milton Development Coordinator of Finance that all municipal property taxes have been paid.
Can I have a seconder? Mr. Robinson? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mr. Robinson. Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take a recorded vote. As I call your name out, please respond with in favor or opposed to the motion. Mr. Chandler,
In favor?
Mr. Robinson,
In favor.
Mr. Summers,
In favor?
and myself, Mr. Klug, I am in favor. So Secretary Treasurer will record the vote. Did you say something? Oh, she's mute.
They keep muting me. It's recorded.
Okay, thank you. So the motion carries and the variance has been approved with conditions. There is a 20-day appeal period. If there is no appeal when the applicant, if there's no appeal, then the applicant has approval to proceed subject to the conditions imposed by the committee. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next application now.
Okay, the next hearing on the agenda is the public hearing for application file A2-20-008/M for 378 Malbeuf Court. We're now going to share a screen with a dedicated phone number and email address now to members of the public who want to make a request to speak to this application. For anyone wanting to connect, you will be given step-by-step instructions on how to enter and participate in the meeting via telephone only. We will now take a 5-minute recess to allow members of the public to connect and to give time for our staff to assist.
Okay, so the time is up and we have not received any telephone or written submissions. Mark, you're just going to have to unmute. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Sorry. This application is for 378 Malbeuf Court. I now call upon the applicant or their representative to speak to the application, please.
So I have both the applicant and the agent here. I'm going to promote both of them. I believe the agent will be speaking, but I'll promote both of them and then they can prompt us.
Okay. So if you could please state your name and home address or business address if you are acting as the agent.
So Andrew Botani, you've been promoted over. You just have to turn on your video and your sound. Hi there. I see you've unmuted. Do you hear us?
Yes.
One more time. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Hi.
There we go. Hi there.
Hi there. Hi there. Yeah. Good evening to everyone, dear person and all committee members.
So sorry to interrupt, Ms. Botani, your sound is just a little low. Is there any way you could just either speak louder or just increase your sound? Yeah, maybe the headset.
Yeah.
No, we can't hear you now.
Hello. Yeah. Is it okay now?
It's still a little quiet. I think you just maybe if you speak louder, it would be a little bit better.
Okay. Hi. So, hi. I'm representing for 378 Marlborough Court, and my client. This is from my client, Tanzeem Hassan. Actually, he was representing, and I don't know what happened. He's not showing here. So this is about driveway that I represented for application for building permit for the second unit, and this is then later on I come to know that driveway is short little bit, and this is 0.5 meter short. So only for the front, some portion of the front one, and otherwise driveway is good. After that, as you can see in the letter also we received from planner Angela. So this is what just we want some little grace from you.
Okay, Mr. Hassan, do you have anything to add?
Second, please. Good evening, respective all the committee members. Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir. Because I meet all the zoning requirement for the accessory apartment, except parking space, and already get the permit for my walkout basement stairs. This already be done. It's constructed, and the Adam Curry, he already inspect the houses, but he only put the one for the requirement regarding the electrical requirement outside. And I couldn't do it because of the permit of the having problem with for the basement right now. If I get the permit, then I can go through with the electrical line outside too. And why applying for this permit? Because I have 3 childs and I am the only one single income for my house. My wife, she don't work. And if something happened in my job and something, at least I have some extra income to support my family as an income wise. I can pay my bill on time. And this is the way I try to, that's why I pursue the permit with the city.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions of town staff or the applicant regarding this application? Seeing none, oh, sorry, Mr. Summers, go ahead. Sorry.
I'd just like to be clear on what is being asked for here. Is the intent to add a 3rd parking space in front of the house? Or are we again looking at 2 cars on the driveway and 1 car in the garage?
I'm going to ask the planner to respond to that. Angela?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Summers, it is the same case as the last application where there's only room for 1 car in the garage and they're looking for 2 spaces on the driveway. The only portion that they fall short in terms of the width is the first 0.91 meters, which is where the wing wall is located on the like edge of the garage. And the remainder of the driveway meets the requirements of the zoning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other further questions? Seeing none, there is no public, so the public session is closed. I'm going to move now. Is there any member prepared to make a motion? Please raise your hand. Mr. Robinson, yes, so you need to read the motion, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I'd like to move that application file number A2-20008M at 378 Malbeuf Court be approved with the following conditions. 1, that all applicable building permits be applied for and received prior to the construction of the proposed below-grade entrance and accessory dwelling unit. 2, that the approval be subject to an expiry of 2 years from the date of decision if the conditions are not met, if the proposed development does not proceed, and/or a building permit, if applicable, is not received. 3, that the applicant provide confirmation from the Town of Milton Development Coordinator, Finance, that all municipal property taxes have been paid.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Mr. Chandler, thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion, gentlemen? Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take a recorded vote. As I call out your name, please respond with in favor or opposed to the motion. Mr. Chandler?
In favor?
Mr. Robinson?
In favor?
Mr. Summers?
In favor?
And myself, Mr. Klug, I am in favor. Secretary Treasurer will record the vote.
Recorded.
Thank you. So the motion carries. The variances have been approved with the condition. There is a 20-day appeal period. If there is no appeal, then the applicant has approval to proceed subject to the conditions imposed by the committee. Thank you very much. We will move to the next application when Debbie is ready.
Debbie, you'll just have to unmute. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, the next hearing on the agenda is for file A2-20-001-M for 86 Martin Street. We are now going to share a screen with a dedicated phone number and email address now to members of the public who want to make a request to speak to this application. For anyone wanting to connect, you will be given step-by-step instructions on how to enter and participate in the meeting via phone only. We will now take a 5-minute recess to allow members of the public to connect and to give our staff time to assist. Thank you.
Okay, so the time is up. We have not received any telephone or written submissions.
Thank you. So this application is for 86 Martin Street. I now call upon the applicant or the representatives to speak to the application.
So I'm just going to promote Mr. Todd over. I can see he's unmuted, but I'm going to promote him. That way, Mr. Cooney, when he comes over, he can share video as well. Just 1 second. There we go.
Hello, sir. If you could state your name and home address or business address if you're acting as the agent.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Secretary, and committee members. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Todd Cooney, and I, with my wife and 2 little girls, own the property at 86 Martin Street. We currently have a failing retaining wall and decrepit garage that could give way any day now. And the new structure that we're proposing will fix both of our concerns and give a safe haven for our daughters to play in the backyard moving forward. We worked with my architect from Chamberlain, John McGinn, on the design that blended with the character area and would provide a safe and sound structure in the backyard. We took architectural details from around the neighborhood, including our house, matching as best we can the red brick that actually was Milton Brick Company at one point, Hale Navy colors, and white combination. Both minor variances. So one is to permit a maximum building height of 5.8 meters for a detached garage, whereas a maximum building height of 4.3 meters is permitted. Number 2 is to permit a maximum deck projection of 20.1 meters from the wall of the principal building into the rear yard, whereas a maximum deck projection of 4.0 meters is permitted. We find both of these to be technicalities based off of the significant grade change from the front to the rear for this accessory building, and happy to answer any and all questions regarding either.
Thank you. Does any member have any questions of town staff or the applicant? Mr. Summers, and then Mr. Robinson.
Okay, hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. One quick question. Would I be correct in assuming that no mature trees are going to be lost as a result of this new construction?
With the new construction, there is not. There is 3 pines that are going to have to be removed to create the new driveway to gain access to this accessory structure. So right beside our property, Michael, is a Joseph Street, which was owned by the town up until a few years ago prior to our ownership. And it was transferred over to myself and my neighbor ownership there. So working with the town and understanding what needed to be done to make this accessory structure happen, that is what was the recommendation.
Okay. Thank you.
My
Mr.
pleasure.
Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the applicant. It's a fairly large structure, and I understand the grade changes on the property. I was just curious, the lower level of the structure, what's the intended use for that? I believe it's as storage, but I know there is plumbing in the structure, and I just wanted confirmation that it wouldn't be used for for occupancy.
Yes, great question, Jeff. Absolutely not. It's going to be used for storage. We put a powder room down there just to have, because we are close to Mill Pond. We've got a bunch of kayaks, bikes, everything that we're going to store down there, paddle boat. And that's just, our understanding. If, we come back from a run, we just wanted to, quickly have a wash hands or what we need to there compared to coming up to the actual house. But the major reason for kind of the structure being the way it is the foundation is actually going to be utilized as the retaining wall moving forward. So it's kind of a two multi-purpose thing for us, which right now we've got a Boeing one that's going to fall down pretty much any day.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one question for the planner, and Mr. Robinson alluded to it, and so did the applicant. In your paragraph, you say The ground floor will contain a 2-car garage and deck, and the lower level will be used for storage and will contain a small power room. Is that powder room? Sorry, I should have asked you this before, but it's a powder room, right? Because I don't know what a power room is.
Yes, so to you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. It's a powder room.
Thank you. That's great. That's perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I had to ask. Sorry.
Hey, I'll take a power room. I don't know what that is, but
I don't know what a power. I had to ask. I had to ask. So a little bit of levity here. Is there any other questions of any of the members to the applicant or staff at this time? Seeing none, confirming again that there are no public waiting to speak to this, I'm going to close the public session. And is there any member prepared to make a motion on this application? Oh, sorry, Debbie, yes?
I've just been informed by the planner that there's an error in condition number 2. It states that additions to the single detached dwelling, but it really should say detached garage.
Okay.
So if you see on condition number 2, instead of the additions to the single detached dwelling, it should be to the detached garage.
Okay. So if the members could note that, please. So is there a member prepared to make a motion? Mr. Summers.
I'd like to move that the minor variance application A2 20-010M be approved with the following conditions: that a building permit application be applied for within 2 years from the date of this decision, that the attached site plan form part of this decision as Schedule A, and that the additions to the single detached garage be subsequently constructed in accordance with Schedule A, and that 3, that the applicant applies for and obtains a revised conservation Halton permit associated with CH file A19M47 to acknowledge the revisions from the stamped drawings, approved drawings. And finally, that the applicant provide confirmation from the Town of Milton's Development Coordinator, finance, that all municipal property taxes have been paid.
Do I have a seconder? Mr. Chandler? Is there any discussion on the motion, gentlemen? Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take a recorded vote. As I call out your name, please respond with in favor or opposed to the motion. Mr. Chandler?
In favor.
Mr. Robinson?
In favor.
Mr. Summers?
In favor.
And myself, Mr. Klug, I am in favor. Secretary Treasurer will record the vote.
The vote is recorded. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries and the variances have been approved with the conditions. There is a 20-day appeal period. If there is no appeal, then the applicant has approval to proceed, subject to the conditions imposed by the committee. Thank you very much. I think that concludes the public hearing session or section of the agenda. I'm going to move now to new business. Are there any items of new business from any of the members or Debbie that we need to be aware of? Nope. Our next meeting is for Thursday at 6 p.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. So I need now to adjournment. Motion to adjourn, please. Mr. Chandler, seconder. All those in favor, please raise your hand. So hearing no other business, I now declare that this meeting is adjourned at 7:06 p.m. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. And Stephen, if you can cut the live feed, please.
Thank you.